changes and fear. Where will they go from here? When will they stop? I believe that fate has brought us here. We should be together, babe, but we're not. I bleed up, but I'm dreaming of you. I keep my cool, but I'm beating. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not here. I may appear to be free, but I'm just a prisoner of your love. I may seem alright and smile when you leave, but my smiles are just a front, yeah, just a front. Hey, I plead up, but I'm dreaming of you. I keep my cool, but I'm feeding. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Here is my confession. May I be your possession? I need your touch, your love kisses inside. On my mind I try, but I just can't deny. Hey, I played up, but I'm dreaming. Yeah, I'm dreaming of you, babe. I keep my cool, but I'm beating. I try to say goodbye. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. I try to walk away, try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Games, changes, and fear. Where will they go from here? When will they stop? I believe that fate has brought us here. We should be together, babe, but we're not. I bleed up, but I'm dreaming of you. I keep my cool, but I'm beating. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. I may seem alright and smile when you leave, but my smiles are just a front, yeah, just a front. Hey, I'm playing up, but I'm dreaming of you. I keep my cool, but I'm feeling. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Here is my confession. May I be your possession? For I need your touch. Your love kisses inside. On my mind I try, but I just can't deny. Hey, I play it up, but I'm dreaming. Yeah, I'm dreaming of you, babe. I keep my cool, but I'm feeling. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. I try to walk away, try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Games, changes, and fear. Where will they go from here? When will they stop? I believe that fate has brought us here. We should be together, babe, but we're not. I'm bleed up, but I'm dreaming of you. I keep my cool, but I'm feeling. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not here. I may appear to be free, but I'm just a prisoner of your love. And I may seem alright and smile when you leave, but my smiles are just a front, yeah, just a front. Hey, I'm playing up, but I'm dreaming of you. I keep my cool, but I'm feeling. I try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away, but I stumble. Though I try to hide it, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not near. Goodbye. changes and fear. Where will they go from here? When will they stop? I believe that fate has brought us here. We should be together, babe, but we're not. I bleed up.
Welcome back to LearnPianoLive.com. My name is Jamin, and as you can tell from the countdown clock, the lesson is about to get started. In case you're new with us, there's a few things I'd like to show you to help you throughout the lesson. So we say that today's lesson is an intermediate lesson, which is a worthless term because everybody is intermediate. Everyone has people who are way better than them and people who are at least a little bit worse than them. So everybody's an intermediate, but what we mean today is that hopefully you have played some songs on the piano before. You're probably not super impressed by them, but maybe you had a friend or two that was impressed by them. You have had some formal training, but probably not much, and so you don't have to know much about music theory or to be a good sight reader or anything like that. But do ask a lot of questions. We will be skipping over some of the most basic concepts, but we shouldn't get too terribly advanced today. Ask a lot of questions. And in case I didn't mention it, ask a lot of questions. These lessons are always guided and shaped by your questions, and if you're live with us today, there's a couple different ways you can do that. One is in the public live chat, and the other is the Ask Jamin a Question button, where you can ask me a question privately, and I won't share your identity in case you're afraid that your question is stupid. But it's not. If you're in the archives, though, then just open up the survey. At the end of that, there's a place where you can ask your question. I will say I frequently get questions from students in the archives watching a lesson from 6 months ago, and I have no idea what they're talking about. So please try to be as specific as possible. If you're watching this at LearnPianoLive.com, there should be a PDF and an MP3 button right next to this video. The PDF will often have additional video links inside so you can get more in-depth instruction on each of the topics. And if you're the kind of person who likes to print out the PDF so you can make the same notes on your physical version as I'm making during the lesson, now would be the time to do that. The MP3 is just a play-along track so you can practice more after the lesson. In traditional lessons, a teacher is going to actually present some new concept for maybe 5 or 10 minutes every couple weeks. The rest of the time is going to be spent applying and refining those concepts. Well, here I'm spouting off hours of new information every week, so it's totally unreasonable to expect you to actually absorb all of that. Instead, the goal of these live lessons is for you to find some little nugget of something that makes sense, but is a bit of a challenge, and for you to go practice it, because practice is where all the improvement's going to happen. So don't feel bad if you have to leave the live lesson when you find that little thing that you're going to practice. And of course, if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind the live lessons or replay in the archives as much as you want. If these live lessons start feeling random or meandering, it's because they are, on purpose. So if you're the kind of person who wants classical training with a step-by-step method, then you're going to want to check out Kloppel Academy on the website. It's included in your live lesson subscription, so you can do both or either. And the upper levels are seriously hard work, but it's going to take you all the way from ground zero, all the way up to being ready to enter any major music college as a piano major in classical or jazz. And finally, it's most people's favorite. This is application, where we take the past concepts from other live lessons and we see how they apply to an actual, real song that already exists. And since there's like 1,000 different ways to play any song, you're just going to work on the version that is appropriate for your level. So that might just mean playing one note at a time for right now. Or maybe you're working on chords or covering the full song. Or maybe you're just seeing how the song breaks down so you can better write and transcribe your own songs in the future. But whatever your level is, the goal is not this song. So even if you don't play the whole entire song, you'll get better by even attempting a little bit of it, and attempt it we shall. Wow, you all, I am really digging this song. I cannot wait to cover it tomorrow, and hopefully with those special guests I've been talking about. I don't know if they're going to be able to make it into the actual broadcast, but I'll definitely show you the behind-the-scenes thing. Maybe we can do a live stream off schedule of the all that stuff. But anyway, here's our track. Yesterday we went through all of the notes and all of the chords for this thing, so today we're just talking about the theory of it, but let's go ahead and play through it actually first. we go ahead and play through to the bridge? Because we didn't yesterday. What? Did I not put the bridge in there? Or maybe I was just one behind. Let's try it. Yeah. In my confession, I've been your one possession. But I need your touch. Bummer. All right, Julie, you were right. So there was no pre-chorus in there. There is in the song, and there should be, and I'm going to fix that for all of our MP3s. So apparently this measure right here is actually happening right there, and there's no pre-chorus. We did not play all the way through it yesterday, so we did not run into that problem. But anyway, so that's all the chords and some of the melody and stuff. And like I said, we went through a lot of that yesterday. So let's just dive into what we need to today for the theory lesson, all the ideas behind this song. One of the main thing from this song is the key of D. So that's the most important part. All the chords for all of the key of D part, and all the notes for the melody are taken from the key of D. It has like a really bluesy feel to it, but there aren't actually any melody notes that are outside of the scale. So it's just all that stuff like we discussed yesterday, key of D, and then it switches to the key of E flat like we also talked about right there. And we went through all this yesterday. So we talked about the key of E flat and how all the notes in that section are in the key of E flat. And that should have happened right there is where things start to be. Actually, right here is where things start to be in the key of E flat. That's the first official sign of that A flat over B flat. That's a 4 chord in the key of E flat over a 5. So it's a 4 over 5 in the key of E flat. And that's where things officially change. So if you're going to solo over this, you could just wait until right there to play in the key of E flat, and that would be acceptable. But knowing that it's coming up and hitting something from the key, licks in the key of E flat right there is going to make it sound a little bit more pro, like you are thinking ahead instead of just responding and noodling around based on what you're hearing along with your audience. So that's one of the signs of, like, as an advanced player listening to beginner players, that's one of the signs that they don't really know what they're doing, is that they always play chord and key changes after they have happened. So something happens, they hear it, and then they can make the adjustments. And if they're a good player, they can make the adjustments quickly. Well, a more advanced player is not thinking about what they're hearing. They're thinking about what they're about to hear, and they're preemptively playing notes from upcoming chords and upcoming keys, just anticipating it a little bit in a lot of cases. So if you can make the changes sooner, then, man, we're almost getting into a solo lesson here, and I had not planned any of this. But it's probably good stuff. So in the key of D, we've talked about how if you're going to solo over this play-along track, then you'd want to solo in the key of D. And then we've also talked about before where you want to take those chord tones from... Here we go. On the D, when it's time for the D chord, if you're soloing, you want to emphasize the D, the F sharp, and the A. Notes from the D chord. When it's time for the A chord, you want to emphasize notes that are in the A chord, the A, the C sharp, and the E. Hopefully some of this is making sense so far. So we've got chord tones in your solo at the point of those chord changes. So you want to play notes out of a really elementary band exercise. That sounded really negative. Before you do anything else, you need to first be able to at least play the chord tones from each of the chords. So, very first thing would be D, A, E minor. Just playing the chord tones, E minor, and then back to the D. So this is like step one after you've already played the chords, is just breaking the chords up into individual notes. And then you use those notes to kind of inform your solos. So after you've practiced that, you've noodled around in the key of D, then you just combine the two. You noodle in the key of D. Yeah, this is definitely turning into a soloing lesson. We're supposed to talk about the theory. We'll get to the theory. Hang on. So then noodling around in the key of D, emphasizing the notes from the D chord. I'll try to, every time I play a chord tone, let's do that. I'll play the chord tones louder than the rest. I'll noodle around. I'll try to emphasize the chord tones. Here we go. This will be interesting. So, here's my noodling, but paying attention to the chord tones. So we have the D chord, and then the A chord, E minor, D chord, A chord, it's a note out of the A chord, E minor chord. So right on the chord change, I'm trying to hit a note from that chord, and we've talked a lot about this during the songwriting workshops that we've done a lot of. When you're writing melodies, is a great way to write melodies, because a solo is just a melody, really, that you're making up on the spot. Okay, an improvised solo, that is. So then you want to be playing chord tones there, and then if you really want to make it sound cool, you want to play a chord tone from the chord that is just about to happen. So instead of going from the D chord and then hitting a note from the A chord, you hit a note from the A chord before it switches to A. I'm going to play the bass down here so you can see when the chords are changing. This is the D chord, and then that would be normally the chord tone happening right with the chord change, but now I'm going to rush to that one before the band switches to the A. So here we go. So when I played it, it wasn't a chord tone yet, but then the band switched and made the note that I was already playing and hanging on to like more relevant. So let's see if we can do some of that stuff. I'll rush to a chord tone before the key change before the chord happens, and I'll show you what the chord changes are down here. So it's time for the D, and then the A, and then the E minor, and then the E minor. See, I'm going to a note in the right hand before the chord actually changes, and the note that I'm hanging on to, that I'm holding on to, is a note from the upcoming chord. All right, so all of that was just supposed to point out that if you're going to switch to the key of E flat, that right there is a great place to do it. Right on that thing instead of waiting for like the official key change at the beginning of the next line. Okay. Probably too many words for that point, but maybe we informed some soloists in there as well. Time signature is just regular 4/4 time, so kind of a boring time signature, although the groove is really super cool. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's a pretty straightforward. Now it does have this bunk and 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's kind of like in between swung and straight. I was trying to figure out whether it was swung or straight for this lesson, and there are parts of the song where certain instruments, like especially the drums, will swing it, and then the other players in there, especially the guitarist, will just play it straight, and everything will be like perfectly even, and then that like up against the swung thing in the drums, usually that's just bad playing. But in some cases like this one, that the two of them kind of fight against each other, and it kind of ends up being just kind of barely swung, and whatever you're wanting to feel in there, you can find someone in there to agree with you. If you feel like it's a straight song, then hey, listen, these instruments over here playing the 8th straight. And if you want to feel like, hey, this song is swung, then you can find the instruments in different places and they're doing that. But I think overall the majority of it is just straight, but you can feel the other in there. So the straight is definitely there, but you can feel they're both kind of in there. So it is a 4/4, but it's got a super groovy feel to it. And then the lyrics and the chords. Now I don't know Macy Gray. I don't know her producers. This seems really super lazy that they just reuse the same exact lyrics and the same exact melody and the same exact chords. That said, I love it. And a lot of my favorite music to play, like the gospel stuff and even a lot of jazz, is just like the 12-bar blues. Like that's the same exact chords every single time. So and it's the same scale every single time, but it's just really super groovy and fun to play. A lot of the gospel vamps you hear just like maybe 1 or 2 chords, and it's just a whole lot of fun to play. So this kind of has that feel to me. They didn't try to make the second half of the chorus sound different than the first half or whatever. Try to say what I'm talking about here is right here. Try to say goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. Though I try to hide, it's clear. My world crumbles when you are not here. And then the second half of the chorus is goodbye and I choke. Try to walk away and I stumble. It's the exact same thing, which is great. The pre-chorus, I believe, is the same as well. I play it off, but I'm dreaming of you. I play it off, but I'm dreaming of you. So lots of repetitiveness and repetition in the melody, in the bass melody, but then she does not stick with the bass melody for very long. Like the melody that you would sing if you were singing the song, she doesn't sing that for very long. It's in the very next chorus. She's already starting to sing some of the higher parts and kind of go off and stuff, which is a great thing to do with the blues or with gospel or with this type of R&B. So anyway, it's really, really repetitive, which means it's boring or lazy or uncreative or whatever. And also, it's a really beautiful blank slate, a clean canvas for all kinds of creativity on top of it, because it doesn't have all kinds of crazy chord changes that you have to accommodate as you're playing through it. You just do whatever feels right at the moment, which might be part of that, probably is a lot of the feel of like the really gutsy earthiness of it, you can kind of make it your own, because it's just there's not a whole lot there telling you what you're supposed to be playing or what you're supposed to be hearing. It's a lot up to you. Some words, maybe some of them resonate. So lots of the sets of 4 are just the exact same. When we say set of 4, by the way, in case this is your first lesson with us on this thing, welcome. Glad you could join us. And also, songs tend to happen in sets of 4. We hit this in almost every single lesson, regardless of what I'm trying to teach. It just comes up that things happen in sets of 4. So we got 4 measures right here. And then a verse is just 2 of those sets of 4. The pre-chorus is 1 set of 4. The chorus goes back to another 2 sets of 4 right here. These 2 right here. The verse, again, pre-chorus. Even the bridge is just 8 bars or 2 sets of 4 bars. So everything is happening in sets of 4s, and then you often have the set of 4s that repeat. Like every time the chorus comes back around, it's the exact same. Or as we discussed yesterday, this verse is the exact same thing as the chorus. Once you can play the verse, you can play once you play the verse, you can play the chorus as long as you add in this G here at the end of the line. It goes D, A. You can't see a thing in here. This section right here that doesn't have any writing on it, the only clean part of the page, D, A, E minor is the chorus, and D, A, E minor is the verse. So those 3 chords make up the verse and the chorus for this thing, except we throw in a G at the end of the choruses. All right, cool. So then lots of repetition in the sets of 4, which I like because, like I said, it gives you greater flexibility for what you want to do. And then we talked about the key change already, and we haven't talked about the funky bridge, and I promised that we would analyze the funky bridge and talk about that C7. So let's do it. This C right here is actually a C7, and usually I just leave those out because, especially for the beginners who are just trying to keep up with the chords, which is hard enough when there's 4 chords. I think we counted yesterday like 13 chords on this song. Something ridiculous like that. I decided not to add any extensions on here. However, for this song, add 7s all day long. Major 7s, dominant 7s. This one is, you definitely have to have a C7 right there. You have to have that B flat in the C chord. So it's C chord, throw the B flat in there, and that'll really help that thing sound a lot better. So we've got an F major 7 at the beginning to an A minor 7. I play 7. To an F major 7. To an E minor 7. That all to me sounds like the key of C. So F major 7, you'd have that. A minor 7, you'd have that in the key of C. Then we'd have an E minor 7, you'd have that in the key of C, and then it goes to a C. And that's all great, except that the C that they go to is a C7, which makes it feel not like the key of C, because the key of C would be all white notes. So then, that one right there says we're moving somewhere else. The place we're expecting to move is, oh, come on, circle of fifths, friends. Circle of fifths. If you have a dominant chord, it always wants to cycle to the next chord in the circle of fifths. And for some of you, you're like, circle of, what is he talking about? And others of you are like, really? This thing again? Yes, this thing again. The C7 is always going to want to go to the F chord. The A chord is always, A7 is always going to want to go to a D. The D7 is always going to want to go to a G. The D flat 7 is always going to want to go one counterclockwise move through the circle of fifths. So a C7 definitely wants to go to an F. And where does it go? Sure enough, just like we should predict in this song, it goes to not an F. So more weirdness there from the C7. Nice resolution would be there. Yeah, way to go, Macy Gray. You did it. There's a C7, went to an F, and everybody's happy. C7, she goes B minor 7. Wow, okay. So now I have no idea what key I'm in. And then it goes to an E minor, and then I'm starting to feel like, oh, you know what? I have felt these two chords before. A B minor and an E minor are both in the key of D. And then it goes to G over A, and that just screams D. You can't play G over A without going to D afterwards. It's like even more compelling than an A7 going to a D, which is that circle of fifths thing again, than G over A. Yes, we're definitely 100% going to there. So right here we got all the suspension in the world all the suspense in the world. And after that G over A, we go not to D. Exact same chords up a half step. And that's like even more tension. Like, what in the world are you crazy? You like had me all set up. You confused me with this F major 7 to A minor to F to C. And then, so now I'm ready for the key of F, and then you switch around on me, back to the key of D. Okay, finally, I'm with you. We're going to the key of D, and then we go to A flat over B flat. Now, this screams the key of E flat. And she does go to an E flat, but if you want to make your audience even more crazy, which is what I'm really tempted to do now that I say this in our cover, is that instead of resolving to the E flat, just do what she did. Take all that up a half step. Up a half step from A flat would be an A, and up a half step from B flat would be B. So that would turn our chord. Man, I should wait till tomorrow to do this stuff. So anyway, again, this G over A to A flat is happening on your track that's about to change. It's happening right here. It should not. It should be at the end of the pre-chorus. So we should go G, dreaming of you, keep it cool, but I'm feeling, I try to say goodbye. But if we just take it up a half step from there, we'd go key of E. I didn't like that very much. Man, maybe we could do something like that. I'm sure I'll get plenty of feedback on that transition, and we'll decide what we want to do. I'll ask the singers too; they should have some say in it as well. So you got a funky bridge and a key change, and that's my best analysis on what's going on there with the bridge. It's kind of in the key of C, and then it's kind of in the key of F briefly. The only thing that says F is that C7, and it immediately doesn't go to the key of F. It goes to the B minor, which, if you were in the key of F and you ever wanted to tell your audience, we're not in the key of F anymore, play a B minor. That'll kill the F mood immediately. So it was like the best possible chord after that C7 to say, no, I was lying, we're not going to the key of F. So anyway, kind of in the key of F. And then right after that, we have the key back to the key of D, but it doesn't resolve to a D. It goes up to the key of E flat. Let's see what we do with that. The verse chorus bridge separation looks something like this. Kind of as predicted. So pre-chorus and chorus go together. Pre-chorus and chorus go together. And we've got a verse before it. So this is really nothing new at all. The only thing slightly interesting in this setup here is that there's no intro. So, and there is kind of an intro, like on the original. There's like a strings part that's kind of had like one chord just to create a little suspense. And then that was a terrible attempt at a D chord, but anyways, they just go straight into it. So there's basically no intro there. Verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and then almost 100% predictably, they repeat the chorus at the end. They fade. The fade is their ending, and they've got, of course, the pre-chorus, chorus, and then the looping of the chorus with a bridge in between. This is like textbook exactly what you would expect if you've been through our songwriting workshop. Two verses with a chorus afterwards, a bridge so that you have the opportunity to loop your chorus at the end, and the ending they choose is a fade. Okay. Pretty predictable. But that kind of fits the form. Again, it's just really, really basic. Everything that you would expect is 100% there, except the bridge is super funky. They give you a key change, which is kind of cool, and the chords are just really repetitive. Melodic shapes and patterns. The triplets and the melodic pentatonic lick is really kind of cool here. Let's go to our sheet music for this one. So crumbles when you are not near. This is the only thing that's slightly interesting, I guess, in the melody. The rest of it's just pentatonic. This is right here. That's kind of the whole song in my mind. That is the thing that sets us apart. If you didn't have that lick in there, it would just be some really super boring song. But both rhythmically and melodically, it's got this really crazy falling down line, which I personally am probably projecting onto Macy Gray here or her producers, or maybe they did this accidentally and it just felt right to them for the reasons I'm about to explain. The lyrics, crumbles when you are not near. Now, I know I get a lot of complaints during the songwriting workshops because I almost never write the lyrics in because I hate lyrics, and I never know the lyrics to any song at all. But it seems too coincidental here that this part, crumbles when you are not, is all this crazy descending line. Usually, as you know, if you've done very many of these lessons before, things move stepwise. So if you want to have some descending line, it would just go straight down one note at a time. Well, this thing is jumping all over the place. Crazy stuff. That's a 4-3-1-5-4-3. I would not recommend that in any song ever. It's a horrible, horrible idea, except she's got this really predictable, super boring song, and this one spice is kind of the crux of the whole thing. The spice can't be a crux. Come on, Jamin, don't mix your analogies. It's the one. I don't know what a spice would be in a mix. I play piano. I don't bake. So we have that one thing is the thing that sets this whole song apart. And the lyrics are talking about crumbling when you are not. And then the word near jumps up. Now, maybe, again, just because they were too far, they could have done that, but maybe Macy Gray was unable to hit that note. Or maybe it just felt right that when they talk about him being near, they jump up to a higher note, the high point of the line, quite literally. Crumbles when you are not. It sounds crumbly. And then you take into account also that those are all triplets, so everything else has been super groovy. Boom, dump, and that one line right there is crumbles when you are not near, like feels crumbly, like you just took all of your rhythms that were so groovy and cool and you threw them all out and your melody line is falling apart and the whole thing just seems to fit. Again, maybe it's totally coincidence, but if I was going to write a song that I wanted to feel crumbly at some point, I would probably do that, especially if it ended with talking about someone being near, then I would probably put that other note as the high one. So I don't know. Maybe it's totally formulaic and predictable, or just the genius of Macy Gray and her producers. But that is definitely the most interesting thing of the entire song to me. Although the bridge is weird, but whatever. You can pick random weird chords. I was at a warm up for a gig a couple weeks ago, and I was the only one playing. The rest of the band was out, and during that part of the song, and so the vocalist was singing and her part, and I was just like literally picking random chords, and it sounded really kind of cool and interesting. I picked some jazz chords, so there's a bunch of like funky weirdness in there, so it sounded like weird and unpredictable, but you'd be surprised what you can get away with just random chords. If it's played with enough confidence, you can get away with almost anything. Just ask Charlie Parker. No, that wasn't fair or true. I'm sorry. So, triplets and melodic pentatonic lick. This song right here is right at the bottom of most people's range, or just slightly above the top of their range. As you can see right here for a female range, it'd be down here, and then for the male range, it would be somewhere in here as well. Unless you, as a male, wanted to sing it up an octave, then you would just be a little bit of the song would be outside of your range there. So kind of has that high intensity, and also she's got a really low voice, and it sounds like a really, really low song, but it's got that high intensity just because it's at the extremes of the vocal range. Cool. I think that's it. When she says the word stop, the band stops. Ooh, that's cool. So that's it at the beginning. Stop. And then the band comes back in. Yeah, all right. So you can't not do that on the word stop. I think that's all that we have. So let's make sure we get all the questions in after we do the wrap up. And yeah, cool. Wrap up. Here we go. We talked about things happening in sets of 4. I'm actually going to go down to this one here. Things happening in sets of 4. We talked about the key of D and the key of E flat. We didn't go through that too terribly much because we spent a lot of time on that yesterday. Talked about the time signature of 4 and how this is kind of a mix of swung and straight, but overall I would call the eighths straight, just meaning that they're all even. And so okay, cool. Sets of 4. We talked about how this is super duper repetitive. Exactly what we'd expect. Chord numbers and weird chord things. That bridge is maybe just random chords. I tried to analyze it, but I might have been overlaying common sense or some kind of sense to it that doesn't actually exist. It might just be random chords. But the end of it definitely feels like that E minor to G over A. That seemed very, very on purpose. And then taking that up a half step when we definitely feel like we have to resolve to a D here. There's no other possible thing we could do. They go to the key change, everything up a half step, and that usually works. That's the best place to do a key change is when you have a 1 chord that you have really built up to, and there's all this suspense, and then instead of going to the 1 chord, you take everything up a half step, and it just feels like what this song feels like. It feels awesome. Here we go. There's our separation of verses and choruses and stuff. It's exactly what you'd expect. We get 1 set of verses and choruses here. We got a second set right here. We have something else, a bridge part right here. And then we've got just the looping at the end. So nothing special there. The triplets and melodic pentatonic lick that we have right there. That thing is the crux of the whole thing. And that's what everybody sings the song for. Once you've heard it once, then you sing through the entire song just to get to that one line so you can sing that because it's so much fun because the rest of it is so plain. When you get there and it's so much spice in the, I don't know, something. Then we talked about the range, how it's kind of the extremes. It's super duper high for not super duper, pretty high for a male and kind of low for the female range. And the whole band stops when she says the word stop. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You could do that. Let's get to our, I guess it's time for our questions and our answers, or at least your questions. I don't know. We'll see about the answers. That is a maybe. No, the New Orleans version is not up yet. I know. As it turns out, that's a really hard one to do. I didn't know that when I made my promises. Okay, real question number 1. Why isn't there a key change in every song? Great question. Because you haven't written all the songs. If you were in charge, there would be. Put a key change in every song if you want. Put a couple key changes. You could totally, it seems like a waste that there's not another one in this song. It's so satisfying when you Why not? Why not? Key change in every song, absolutely. There are certain genres where that still exists as a thing, where you just always have a key change. You're always going to start low. But in my experience, it seems like there used to be more of them than there are anymore. Maybe it's a stylistic thing, what do you call that? Not a generational thing, but fewer years than a generation, an era thing. I don't know. Where do you get the chord analysis for your songs? I make them up. I listen to the chords, and I just transcribe them by ear, and then I write them down, and then I ask myself what they are. So lots of experience, I think, is the answer. There are places like ultimateguitar.com that usually have at least 60 to 70% correct information. That's probably That's probably too high. It's like 10% information because they have their rating systems. You're going to ignore the 20 versions that are on there, and then just pay attention to the one that has the highest ratings. And that one with the highest rating usually is about 60-70% right. So it's a great resource. I've used it several times when I had like one chord that it was giving me a hard time and I couldn't figure it out, or for tabs, guitar tabs. So great stuff there. So there are websites all over the place. But the best place is just learn the language yourself. So you can use Google Translate to get stuff from Spanish to English if you want. But the most reliable way is just learn Spanish. And then you can translate it yourself. And then you'll know that it's 100% if you really know the language well. So once you learn the language, you'll be able to do that too. It's not magical. It's just practice hours, honestly. Ear training stuff. So that looks like that is about it for today. Let me make sure I'm not missing any others that did not export. Okay. Well then, until next time. Tomorrow, we are covering the song. We'll actually play it as a piano solo for real, and then hopefully bring in those guests that I was talking about for another live stream sometime. And until then, good luck. Have fun. Love you.